So, where did we leave off? So far, we have talked about the nature of science. What does science mean? Why do we do it as living things? You know, humans are very special. We are very unique. We have gotten to where we are today through the experiences of those that came before us. And we are setting the trajectory of those that will come after us. The nature of science is the study of the universe. Then we went over the scientific method. Observations, questions, hypothesis, experiment, data, analysis, conclusions. So that's science. That discussion, the nature of science and the scientific method, is going to be the same in chemistry. It's going to be the same in physics. It's going to be the same in earth science, whatever. Because the nature of science is the nature of science. The scientific method is the scientific method. But now we are going to jump into the study of life. Biology, life science. So what does it mean to be alive? How do you know if something is a living thing? You can pick it up and you can look at it and then you can say, hey, this ain't alive. Or you can pick something else up. You could say, hey, this is alive. It is? How do you know if something is alive? Well, you pick it up and it moves. Well, you could pick up a plant and it's moving, but you can't see it move. So is the plant alive? Is the mushroom alive? Is the fungus alive? Is the bacteria alive? We have to stop looking at things through our own lens. I mean, I guess that's the only way we have to look at it, but we can use our imagination as a tool to better understand that the way that we see the world is not the only way that the world exists. The blue whale sees a completely different world than we do. The bumblebee sees a completely different world than we do. The roots of the tree experience a completely different world than we do, and yet they are alive, and yet we are sharing our lives together on the same planet. We are all alive together at the same time. The living things you pick up are alive now with you. So what does it mean to be alive? Well, there are 7 characteristics. Okay? That magic number, 7. If something is to be considered alive, it has to have all 7 characteristics. If it is missing one, it is not a living thing. The first characteristic of life that we will talk about, there's no order. It's not like the first one is more important than the 7th one. This is not order of magnitude. This is not order of importance. This is just order of writing it down. Okay? The first one is that a living thing has to be made of one or more cells. Made of one or more cells. We're going to talk about cells, in fact, right after we talk about the characteristics of life. Because the cell is the smallest unit of life. The cell is the smallest thing that can have all 7 characteristics. There is nothing alive smaller than a cell that we have discovered, identified, and labeled based on the agreed upon characteristics of the scientific community. These could change. Sure. Those could change. Science is ever changing. Science is not static. If it's static, it stagnates. Stagnation, ain't nothing happy in there. Stagnation, bleh. Science is changing. Science is growing with the knowledge that it creates. So all living things are made of one or more cells. The cell is the smallest thing that shows all 7 characteristics. For example, viruses. Viruses are not living things. Viruses are not living things. The second characteristic of life is reproduction. Now, when you hear the word reproduction, you probably think about, puppies. Little baby puppies. Oh, the puppy. Yay. Give me the puppy. I'm going to snuggle it. Oh, my God. I love the puppy. However, seedlings, reproduction. What do you say when your sister steps on your foot? Oh, my toe, sis! Mitosis is reproduction, cell division. Your skin cells are reproducing all the time. Reproduction. Mitosis, one cell becomes 2 cells. We're going to talk about mitosis. We're going to go over the process of mitosis. Okay? Binary fission. Also, reproduction. I almost said binary fusion. Fusion? We're going to get a Go Tanks if we do binary fusion. All living things are made of cells. All living things reproduce. The third one respond. They respond to stimuli. Living things respond to stimuli. Now, here's an example of this. You ready? We're going to use your imagination for a moment. I want you to imagine being in total darkness in the middle of the jungle. It's pitch black. You hear the sounds of the night surrounding you. Crickets, frogs, the random mammal that's flapping around or crawling around. You don't see them. But then all of a sudden, through the darkness, coming at you, is a panther. Responding to stimuli. Fear. The stimuli of something happening outside of you causes a response inside of you. Now, the gift of being a human is that we can control our fear. It's just very difficult. Another example that you can do is if you go into a bathroom or whatever, a small place with a mirror, you turn off the lights, you open your eyes real wide in front of the mirror, keep your eyes open, okay, keep your eyes open, and then turn the lights off. The lights are off for about, 10 seconds, then keep your eyes open, and then flick the lights back on. And then what you'll see is your pupils go, they'll dilate, responding to a stimulus. You don't have to think about that. You don't do that, right? Well, we do that, but you're not like, ooh, better dilate my pupils. We don't do that. You don't have to think about beating your heart. You don't have to think about blinking. You don't have to think about breathing. Ooh, forgot. Made of cells, reproduction, respond to stimuli. 4, metabolism. using energy to perform organic processes. Every time you blink, you burn calories. Blinking burns calories. Whew. Homeostasis. Homeostasis. To be static, or static electricity, is like the electricity of not really moving that much. You got to do a little bit of in order to. But static means stable. Static means, I don't know, constant. Homeostasis is maintaining a constant internal environment. The average temperature of a human is 98.6 degrees. You walk outside in 30-degree weather, is your body going to become 30 degrees right away? No. You're going to be like, oh, this ain't too bad. Okay. And then you'll be out there for a little while, no jacket. You're something like, whoa. Start shivering. Shivering is muscle movement, very, very quick muscle movement. And when you work your muscles, you get warm, right? You get hotter when you exercise. Okay? Shivering increases your body temperature because your muscles are moving around really fast. Then your body temperature increases. That's homeostasis. Okay? But, feeling thirsty is another example of homeostasis. Let's see. Oh. Heredity. Genetics. Okay? I guess genetic information is passed down from parent to offspring. Offspring receive their genetics from their parents, from the previous generation. Okay? Inheritance. Let's see. Well, there's almost, people say 7, but sometimes people combine heredity with adaptation. Adaptation through evolution. We all know adaptation. We all know adaptation. Adaptation is, a chameleon. Think about a chameleon. Think about camouflage. Camouflage is adaptation. Okay? It's to avoid being eaten is an adaptation. Because if you avoid being eaten, you live. And if you live, you can make it to babies. And if you make it to babies, your heredity gets passed on to the next generation. If you don't make it to babies, then no heredity to the next generation. Just you. It ends with you. Right? Now, organisms that can clone themselves, also it's the same thing. So, adaptation is from evolution. Evolution creates adaptation. Adaptation through evolution. All right? And evolution, in this case, the environment selects the characteristics of the organism. You don't find iguanas in the North Pole. You don't find iguanas up there. You don't find iguanas hanging out in the snow being like, woo, I'm a snow iguana. No, there's no snow iguanas. Just like you don't see polar bears, in the Bahamas. There's no polar bears in the Bahamas. Oh, polar bears swimming around the Bahamas. Not going to happen. Right? Not going to happen unless, a polar bear escapes from a zoo cruise. A zoo cruise? That's not a bad idea. There's one more. Now, you'll see in some situations where they separate adaptation and heredity. Okay? And with adaptation and heredity, if you separate that, then it's then you have 8 characteristics of life. But they're the same. It's the same. Okay? So adaptation, heredity are hand in hand because you can't have adaptation without having heredity. So, but they could be separated. You could do that. I mean, if there are no genetic changes from generation to generation, then you're not going to have, well, I guess you have to, in order to even exist, adaptation has to happen. So, yeah, in order for anything to be alive at the moment right now is the result of adaptation. Man, interesting. Last one, easy. 7. Growth and development. Okay? Living things grow and develop. They change within their lifetime. Right? Humans, squirrels, whatever, an oak tree, again, a bumblebee. Living things change over time. Think about a frog. What do frogs do? Frogs lay eggs. They squirt out eggs, and the males fertilize them, and the eggs are sitting in a jelly, and then the eggs develop into a tadpole. And the tadpole wiggles around and eats for a while, and then sprouts back legs and front legs and hind legs, forelimbs, hind limbs, and then comes out and starts eating stuff like, whatever, an ant. Growth and development. You're not the same as you were yesterday. You're a little bit different. You're not the same as you were when you were a baby, right? Humans grow and change. Every 7 years, you get almost like a new skeleton because of how our skeletons grow and replace themselves. Okay, that's it. Characteristics of life. If something does not have one of these characteristics, it is not considered to be a living thing. Viruses do not possess the characteristic of reproduction. Viruses cannot reproduce on their own. Viruses have to hijack the, cellular machinery of a cell, of a specific type of cell, and then use that cell's machinery to make more viruses. And then the cell pops, or the viruses bubble up, and then more viruses go out, and then they infect other cells. So viruses don't have a life cycle. There's no such thing as the life cycle of a virus. I guess you could call it maybe, an infection cycle. After this one, I'll do a talk on viruses. That is all. Stay strong. Stay true. You'll see me next time.